Hi, how's it going, everyone? This is Resin of Collingwood, back with another Dark Shadows video. Finally, it is the month of April. I hope everybody has had a happy Easter. And this morning, I'm doing a video about the Hammond Foundling Home. Yep, that Hammond Foundling Home. If you're a Dark Shadows fan, you need to know what that is. For those who don't, for those who have never seen Dark Shadows, the Hammond Foundling Home is an orphanage that is funded by several groups, including that is attached to the Collins family in some way, shape, or form. At least that's what they say. the the Collins. Oh yeah, we have something to do with it. Elizabeth has something to do with it, and I'll get into that here. Um, but the Foundling Home is funded by several groups because it's an orphanage. It's where kids who don't have parents are put to be fed, clothed, and educated until, and even when they're adults, they end up working there. Victoria did. Victoria Winters gets dropped off as a baby in a box in the middle of winter. And there's a note on that box that says, "Her name is Victoria. I cannot take care of her." And the Foundling Home obviously takes her in. Victoria grows up there. She gets her education there. And eventually she gets a letter from Elizabeth Collins Stoddard saying she would like her to be companion of governess. And Victoria obviously presses Miss Hopewell, "I've never heard of this woman. Have you?" And Miss Hopewell goes, "No, I've never heard that name." And Miss Hopewell's telling the truth. She had never heard that name. It's very intriguing that, a friend of mine, Daniel Culver Killenberg, shout out to him. We were talking about Dark Shadows a bit, and I said Victoria's lineage is one of the biggest sort of plot holes in Dark Shadows, but it's so beautiful. It's a beautiful plot hole. It's a plot hole that has always kept me coming back to this franchise, and I love it for it. It's not frustrating for me. It's just interesting that they never solve this girl's lineage. They never, canon it. But now, with the Hammond Foundling Home, again, is run by Miss Hopewell, if I haven't already said that. Um, and Miss Hopewell is very nice. Obviously, she makes sure they're clothed, fed, and educated. And you might say, well, why does Elizabeth want specifically Victoria? And that's a question Victoria does put to Elizabeth, puts to Roger, puts to Carolyn. She puts that question to everybody. Again, here's this girl who grew up in this orphanage. She was left at its doorstep. She has lived around people, kids who were other orphans. She did not know her mother. She did not know, she does not know her mother. She does not know her father. Victoria wants answers. So, and you might say, well, why does Victoria agree to go to Collinsport? Why does Victoria even bother getting on a train? Victoria had received an envelope, $50, and it was postmarked Bangor, Maine. Bangor is 50 miles from Collinsport. Now you might say that's a stretch. Yeah, it is. Or sorry, I want to say 15 minutes, but 50. I think they say 50 miles. Again, I could be wrong, so I'm sorry for the miles. Hey, confusion. But it's close enough that Bangor goes. Vicky's just like, something's not right here. Vicky has a feeling. Wait a second. This woman, who's from Collinsport, Maine, is wanting me, specifically me, asked for me by name to come tutor her nephew. She could have picked any. Here's the thing. Not only did she pick Vicky, she specifically picked her out of the Hammond Foundling Home. she chose to go to the Hammond, not literally go, but to contact her at the by letter at the Hammond Foundling Home to get her to come. That isn't done by accident. It's done because Elizabeth is choosing Victoria, because now this isn't canon. Elizabeth is Victoria's mother. Again, it's never revealed, but that eventually was going to be the reveal. Um, so here you have Elizabeth, who brings this girl to, takes her out of the Hammond Foundling Home. And you got to think too, Vicky has lived there her whole life. She wants, in a sense, she wants out, and here she's getting the opportunity. So Elizabeth brings this girl to Collinsport. This girl gets on a train, leaves the Hammond Foundling Home. Okay. Now, the Hammond Foundling Home is brought up several times in the beginning episodes. Victoria girl questions Elizabeth why she brought her. She questions Roger why she was brought there. She questions Carolyn. I don't know why you were brought, other than to tutor David. And Carolyn is really the only one really. Well, Roger at first, because Roger doesn't know why she was brought there. At first, when Roger Collins is like, I don't know why you were brought. Like, hey, my sister hired you. You were hired here. But Victoria, in the beginning episodes, keeps digging and digging and digging. Why? Why was I specifically brought here? Roger makes this point in the beginning episode. And if you listen to the beginning episode, pay very close attention to these words. We could have hired anybody. And Roger says that. I'm thinking, they could have. They didn't have to go to New York to a foundling home. They could have hired any tutor in the state of Maine. They could have brought a tutor from Boston. They could have brought a tutor from anywhere. I don't want any tutor. I want her. But why? You don't even know this girl, do you? It's Roger. Though you don't necessarily love him, you love the points he's making, because he's making the points the audience is sort of needs to make if they're not making them. Roger Collins is going to do a 180 where he goes. Keep in mind, in the beginning episode, Roger tells his sister, "Don't bring that girl here. Give her a month's pay and then send her back." He does not want Victoria to come there. Hell, he doesn't want Victoria in that house. He does not want her there. And when Elizabeth gets David off the hook for removing the bleeder valve from his dad's car, not completely off the hook by his dad, but with the police, with the help of Burke, in a sense. It's beautiful. It really is. Elizabeth talks to Roger, and she goes, "Victoria's been asking why you brought her here." He looks at her like, "Why I brought her here? My dear sister, why you brought her here? I did not want her." It's beautiful. She's not telling him something just for herself. She's telling him something to tell him to basically tell a lie. Elizabeth is not just instructing her brother to lie. She's flat out ordering him to lie to Victoria's face. And he sort of sits back and goes, "Oh, like you want me to now lie to this girl? Okay." But I love what Lou Edmonds does. Roger Collins goes, "Okay, I'll do it, but I want to know the truth. Why did you bring that girl here?" And Elizabeth just stonewalls him. No, no. It's beautifully done. It really is. It's so intriguing. It's like, how far is Elizabeth going to go? You're asking yourself to lie to Victoria. You're sort of suspicious that she is lying to her. You're sort of like Victoria, like, I'm suspicious. You get that confirmation of suspicion with the conversation between Elizabeth and Roger after the right after the bleeder valve incident, and it's really really good. So Roger bring then you might say, what does this have to do with the Hammond Foundling Home? Plenty, because what Roger does, and he's not lying on this part. The Hammond Foundling Home, as I mentioned earlier in this video, does have many groups that are, invest money and give donations to the orphanage. And somebody who wanted to wish to remain anonymous told Roger about Victoria. Now that's what Roger says. Now we all know that's bullshit, but that's what Roger tells her. Roger tells her somebody who wished to remain anonymous recommended you to me, and I mentioned your name to my sister. And then she wrote that's how it's explained to her. And it's one of the most beautiful yet interesting lies in all of Dark Shadows. Because it's partially true with the there are many groups of people who donate to the Hammond Foundling Home. That part, Roger says, is true. But the rest is a lie. No one recommended Victoria. No one. And that's, really, when you look at the Hammond Foundling Home, you might say, okay, how did Elizabeth know she was there? It's real simple. Elizabeth herself left. Again, we don't see this in the series, so in my opinion, Elizabeth herself left her on the doorstep. Elizabeth, her own mother. And that's how she knew where she was. It would have had to have been Elizabeth, because I don't think, again, two people really knew Victoria was there. Elizabeth and the attorney, Gardner. So, again, which was the Collins family attorney, the older Gardner. I forget what his name was. So if you remember the first, I want to say Frank, but I'm pretty sure that was the son. So again, I'm old. Forgive me for my my age forgetfulness of memory. The first name. Can you tell I'm having fun? So two people know Victoria's there, but I do believe it was Elizabeth who put her daughter on that very doorstep. Could it have been the attorney? It could have been, but I do believe it was Elizabeth at the end of the day. I think, the attorney could have been there with her, and that's how they, she knows, listen, keep sending her money, go use the Bangor post office, don't use the Collins, obviously. Because here's the thing, Gardner is in Bangor, Maine. So I do think it was being sent by the elder Gardner. Sorry, I forget his first name. But I do think it was being sent by him, the money. Elizabeth was giving him the money, by envelope, and he just wrote on the envelope. You know what I mean? Like Bangor, Maine. He didn't write a name because he doesn't have to write a name. He just has to, postmark it Bangor, Maine, and that's it. He doesn't have to write who it's from. So I do believe he was getting the money to Elizabeth. He went to Collinsport, got it from her, brought it back, sent it from Bangor um, to the Hammond Foundling Home, 2 Victoria winners. And, the Hammond Foundling Home, again, when Miss Hopewell tells Victoria, we've never heard of Elizabeth Collins Stoddard, she's right. They haven't. They've never heard of her. Why would they? They honestly, I find interesting that when Vicky goes back in time for good with Jeff Clark, that no one from the Foundling Home keeps inquiring about Victoria. They should have kept inquiring about her, is what I'll say. That would have been real interesting. But, the Hammond Foundling Home itself is a very interesting aspect. Now, this isn't my only video because later tonight I'm going to do a video about the original Collinwood, the old house, where a bunch of crazy shit happened. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think about the Hammond Foundling Home and basically Miss Hopewell and the whole situation of how Dark Shadows really get started is through Victoria winners. I love it. Victoria is obviously my favorite character, as you guys know. I hope you guys enjoyed this video on this Tuesday morning. I will be doing a video tonight, so I'll see you guys tonight.